Barin jinde jibade kala xiang tsar xiang kala nupa xi xiang demderwa dewen jiong ne de la sun chu serub kandang gombo jambar yang erik je dabar tom nen rogan la xiang jib ju bia lam zang san zi ba jati xiawa la la kib xiang tsar. Good morning, everyone. Happy to see you again, and thank you for being here. We are going to continue the teachings on the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life by Great Master Shantideva. And I'm going to pick up where I left off last class. And if you are joining this teaching for the first time, you can watch the previous teachings on the YouTube. And if you think these teachings are beneficial, you should listen to them again and again. And also please share these teachings with others, with your friends who are interested in practicing a kind mind bodhicitta. And then now, again, I would like to begin by reminding all of you that it is important to have a good motivation for this class, this teaching, and meditation, because listening to the teachings within uncertain motivation and a selfish motivation will not bring much benefit. So please take a moment and correct your motivation and generate bodhicitta, a kind mind. That's very important. The great master Longchenpa said that at this time we have achieved the perfect human body of freedoms and advantages. We have meet the precious teachings of the Mahāyāna. We have the freedom to practice the Buddha Dharma. Let us not waste our lives in meaningless sort of pursuit. So if we want an authentic practice and especially develop bodhicitta, then it is absolutely, as I mentioned in the last class, it is very important and absolutely necessary to be human being. And the Buddha said that we possess an enlightened essence, which is, the Buddha nature. And freedoms and advantage, precious human life. But if our mind is filled with a lot of negative thoughts, uncertain motivation, selfish, then there is no hope for enlightenment. So we need to sort of pay more attention to our practice, our minds. That's why this teaching, the way of the Bodhisattva, is important teaching. So when you study this teaching, the way of Bodhisattva, you should know that Shantideva explains this path in 3 stages, right? Entrance, training, and the result, accomplishment. The first entrance involves taking the, of course, the refuge vow and preparation to generate bodhicitta, which is contemplating on the benefit of bodhicitta. And then when you are ready to take in the bodhisattva vows, that is how we start this teaching, study this teaching, the first stage. And then the main body of the text, Shantideva describes the training that follows the generation of bodhicitta, which is the practice of the 6 pāramitās. That is the main teaching, and that is the second sort of stage. But in order to practice the 6 pāramitās, according to Mahāyāna's teaching, first you have to take the vows, the refuge vows, and then you develop your faith and trust in devotion in Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. And then after that, you listen to teachings and study and make sure that you understand the benefit of bodhicitta. Once you fully understand the benefit of bodhicitta, then you take the bodhisattva's vow. Then after that, you're ready to practice the 6 pāramitās, which is the action bodhicitta practice. That is the second stage. And then, of course, the goal of this practice, the achievement of Buddhahood, enlightenment. Okay, so that is basically, you know, this teaching all about the way of Bodhisattva. 3 stages. Now, according to Bhakti Rinpoche, as I mentioned last time, he summarized, this is so important. Traditionally, the teachers, when they teach Bodhisattva, they always, at the beginning, they say these things. Bhakti Rinpoche, he summarized the entire text into the 4 parts, right? Which is, again, bodhicitta aspiration prayer by the great master Nagarjuna, right? May Supreme Precious Bodhicitta take birth where it has not risen, where it has appeared never one, but continue to grow forevermore. You have to recite this prayer every single day because Bhakti Rinpoche, you know, instructions, you know, the whole teachings of way of Bodhisattva included and summarized in this this prayer, the Bodhicitta prayer. So the 3 chapters, right, that give rise to the precious bodhicitta where it has not risen, and then 3 chapters that prevent the decrease of the precious bodhicitta where it has risen. The 3 chapters that not only prevent the decrease of the precious bodhicitta, but also cause it to increase more and more. And then last chapter, the dedication chapter. That is the whole teaching. So again, the first chapter of the Way of Bodhisattva explains the benefit of bodhicitta, right? And then second chapter teaches that we should sort of confess our negative actions so that bodhicitta will naturally arise. That's the second chapter. And then the third chapter is called the full acceptance of the awakened mind, or sometimes they say fully adopting bodhicitta. That's Zongba means like fully adopting the bodhicitta. At this point, we can make the vows to give rise to bodhicitta. That's the third chapter. Now the first chapter on the benefit of that generate bodhicitta, which has 3 sections. Remember, the first is explaining the physical basis necessary for developing bodhicitta. The second is explaining the mental basis, the foundation necessary for developing bodhicitta. And then third is explaining the general sort of benefit of bodhicitta. So we are done with the first and second section. Today we are on the third section, the explaining the general benefit of bodhicitta. So again, we can say that making efforts to generate bodhicitta is very right to do. This is because remember last time the Buddha had sort of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, considered and contemplated for many eons, many times, and then have seen bodhicitta to be beneficial, because through bodhicitta we will be able to attain enlightenment. So these sort of, you have to, if you want to study these teachings, you have to learn how to summarize these things. Otherwise, you are going to forget each stanzas and lines and words, and you are not going to remember. But if you remember, like what about the first chapter, and then inside the first chapter, what is you have to summarize like 3 sections, and then what are those, and you have to sort of memorize them and study like that. Otherwise, when we finish the Way of Bodhisattva, the 10th chapter, for example, when we talk about 10th chapter, you're going to forget the first chapter. What about? If you don't study like properly, then you're not going to keep the main point, of the teachings. You cannot remember. So therefore, I always give you the summarize and the sections and like that. So that is how you study the teachings, Buddhist teachings like that. So that's very important. Otherwise, just kind of waste time, right? When we finish the teaching and then you don't remember nothing, then what's the point? I mean, there is, of course, benefit just to listen to teaching, of course, a great benefit, but better if you know how to keep them sort of in your mind and how to summarize this teaching. That's very important. Now, today is the root text, the number 8 stanza. Is let's see. Those who wish to overcome the abundant suffering of mundane existence. Those who wish to, I hope you have the way of Bodhisattva, the root text. You have to take a look, otherwise you have no idea what I'm reciting here. Those who wish to remove the unhappiness of sentient beings, and those who wish them to enjoy a myriad of joys should never forsake bodhicitta. Sibidungar japtak yomda jang, simchin mibde sarando batang, dema japtak jobrando pijang, shangship simnya tak the tang shas. That's the number, the 8th stanza. So this stanza is very profound and very meaningful, I think. If you are a bodhisattva, and when you have an opportunity to help others with your sort of genuine bodhicitta mind, your joy, your happiness is immeasurable. You're so happy. That's why it says in this stanza, it says, those who wish them to enjoy myriad of joys should never forsake bodhicitta. You might think, bodhisattva's path is really difficult to take and very you have to sort of eliminate your selfish mind and practice very hard. And why they say those who wish them to enjoy and happiness should never forsake bodhicitta. That because when bodhisattva in the middle way, madhyamaka, there is a say the bodhisattvas, even when they hear that somebody asks to help, they just so happy, right? So because of the bodhicitta, so that's why bodhicitta brings the genuine, the everlasting happiness, because you may not have this experience. Maybe you are not bodhisattva. Maybe you are bodhisattva, I don't know, but I know that the bodhisattvas in Tibet, great masters, when somebody asks to help, they're just so happy, no matter what difficult, they just ignore themselves because there's joy, and happiness. So bodhicitta does that. If you practice bodhicitta, it brings the genuine happiness. So the more we fully understand and practice the awakening mind, bodhicitta, the less we suffer, and the less difficulties of life we will have. 100% for sure. Then the negative situations will have less power to influence us because of bodhicitta. As I said, bodhicitta make us happy, not just happy. Like when you make a lot of money, you receive a lot, you are happier. Not that kind of happy, that kind of happiness. Bodhicitta brings so different happiness. That's why they call it like genuine or everlasting happiness. But ordinary people with no knowledge of the benefit of bodhicitta, then always experience difficulties in their lives without knowing how to handle these difficult situations. Therefore, Shantideva wants us to deeply understand the benefits of bodhicitta. That's why he starts this teaching. The first chapter is all about how to understand the benefits of bodhicitta. That's so important. He just, Shantideva just wants us to really deeply study and understand the benefit of bodhicitta. He doesn't say that, right? I will remove your individual sufferings. I will look after you. So does Buddha, you know. They have a tremendous capacity and love and compassion and bodhicitta, but they can't do anything for us, like for our sufferings, if we don't follow them, if we don't practice what they teach us, you know. But Shantideva clearly says here that those who wish to, right, the stanza, those who wish to overcome sufferings of individual existence, such as, you know, self-centeredness, attachment, anger, etc., right? Shantideva says you should never forsake the awakening mind or bodhicitta. If we want to benefit everyone, include ourselves, we need bodhicitta. And those who wish to remove the unhappiness of sentient beings and themselves should never forsake bodhicitta. And those who wish to enjoy their happiness should never forsake bodhicitta. If we want happiness and want to be a friend everyone, we need supreme bodhicitta mind. We cannot give up bodhicitta. We cannot be separate from bodhicitta, because with a bodhicitta, we will achieve whatever we wish, whatever we want. That's why we cannot be separate from bodhicitta. If we possess the supreme bodhicitta, then it doesn't matter if we have no other instructions or no other practices. If we have bodhicitta, it doesn't matter. That's why in the last class, it clearly Shantideva says that. But it really matters even if we have everything, the teachings and instructions, but lack of bodhicitta. Generally speaking, as you know, there are many methods, right? Instructions, you know, to practice Buddha Dharma, such as through sort of physical activities, through sort of verbal, how do you say, conversations, and through mental meditations. There are so many methods to practice Dharma, but the best of these different methods is through practicing bodhicitta and develop it. You see, all these stanzas show that bodhicitta is the most outstanding method to accumulate positive thought, accumulate virtues, and eliminate negative thought. Therefore, bodhicitta is what we should study. Bodhicitta is what we should think about. Bodhicitta is what we should meditate on. And we should consider as the most valuable thing in our lives. So Shantideva basically says here, whatever we encounter, never ever give up bodhicitta. That's why Shantideva should never forsake bodhicitta. in Tibetan, basically it's not translated into English properly, this teaching, this last one, but it basically like means like only, you know, only the bodhicitta, only, never seek bodhicitta, never give up. So you should never give up bodhicitta. It means like, you might think like, I'm an ordinary person, I don't have bodhicitta, so what should I give up? There's nothing to give up, right? No, if you already have bodhicitta, you have to increase it more, right? If you don't have bodhicitta, develop it. No matter how difficult it is, you have to use these teachings as a method, instruction, develop bodhicitta. If you, that's why there are two things. Shantideva said, you know, should never forsake bodhicitta. That means if you don't have bodhicitta, you have, it means Shantideva basically saying that if you don't have bodhicitta, you need to develop it. If you have some kind of bodhicitta, then you need to increase it. That's what this this line, you know, means. Because if we rely on bodhicitta, it makes our activity of body, speech, and mind pure, meaningful, beneficial. So all the Mahāyāna's teachings and practices is included within this bodhicitta, nothing else. That's why Shantideva said you should remember bodhicitta. Remember when you are going somewhere. You should remember bodhicitta when you are sitting somewhere, you know. So try to remember it all the time. Bhakti said in the morning, when you get up, generate a sort of heartfelt intention to be in accord with bodhicitta. Very beginning when you wake up. And then in the evening when you going to bed, investigate whether what you did in your day is in accord with bodhicitta or not. So the bottom line is never forsake bodhicitta and remember it constantly with your mindfulness. If you don't have mindfulness, you are not going to remember it. So bodhicitta is we need to practice. I have a lot of ideas how to generate bodhicitta for the May retreat. I will teach you how to practice bodhicitta using, going to use, you know, there are lots of, you know, we need to accumulate merit, we need to eliminate negative sort of actions so that bodhicitta will arise. So, but I will, if you come to the retreat, I will teach you how to basically how to practice bodhicitta. So that's this stanza. You know, this stanza is. Please memorize this stanza. I think this stanza is very profound. And now the next stanza, 9, is 9th stanza. Once this bodhicitta has taken birth, in that instant, those who were captured in the prison of samsara, they will be named a son of the Buddhas and becomes worthy of reverence and words of gods and humans. That's the root text. Janchip Simchi Chuna Kachikan Korpson Dam Binyam Taknam, Tershaknam, Tishi Johan, Jiktan Lamar GP here in Jerer. As you know, people have different ideas, different desires. For example, some people want to eliminate their sufferings. Some people want to help others. They don't care much about on their sufferings. Some people like to engage in political actions. Some people want help others through social action. Some people want to achieve enlightenment, and so on and so forth. But if your motivation for whatever your desire or you wish to help others or achieve your goal, if your motivation is based on the ordinary mind, which is selfishness, right? That's why they call ordinary mind. So then it is not bodhicitta. Then no matter what, some people want to help others through the sort of political actions, some people through the social actions, some people want to, achieve enlightenment for themselves and so that they can help others. But all of this, your motivation based on ordinary mind is not beneficial. It's not bodhicitta. According to Shantideva, bodhicitta is an awakening mind. It is a commitment to engage in the practice of awakening, which is actively motivated by the wish to help others be free from suffering and achieve enlightenment. That's the definition of bodhicitta. The characteristic of bodhicitta is two things, right? Help others free from suffering, and not just free from suffering, but also help them achieve enlightenment. Those two things. One of these missing, it is not bodhicitta. So bodhicitta is the intention to wake up in order to free all sentient beings from samsara and achieve enlightenment. Samsara is the way that we experience life, right? When we are suffering and confused by all these emotional sort of reactions. So first we have to be aware of what is wrong with samsara, since this is the basis for the wish to attain enlightenment and benefit others. And to free ourselves from samsara, we must reflect on what is considered to be the suffering of samsara. That's what we call the renunciation mind, right? Usually, ordinary beings are concerned only about their own happiness, and harm others for their happiness. That is selfish mind, right? Therefore, wander in samsara endlessly. And we are sort of blinded by a lack of understanding of what we are because of the selfish mind. This is what we mean by samsara. So Shantideva describes here samsara as being a caught in a jail. But when the moment, I'm just talking about the stanza, when the moment bodhicitta arises in your mind, at that very moment, regardless of whether you are male or female, or whether you are old or young, or whether you are, poor or rich, it doesn't matter. You are no longer ordinary person. You become a bodhisattva. Even those miserable people, those beings who were frivolously captured in the presence of samsara, but the moment bodhicitta arises in their mind, in that very instant, they become the children of the Buddhas. That's they call Jarisi, means the son of Buddhas. Because the Buddhas founded this supreme bodhicitta and give to us. That's all they can do. That's why if we practice bodhicitta, give rise bodhicitta in our mind, we are the son of the Buddhas. Then what happened? If you become a son of the Buddhas, then you become worthy of universal respect, no matter who you are. Whether you're male, female, poor, rich, whatever, you are worthy of respect by both, it says, human and gods of the world. That's Shantideva describes here, because you are worthy of universal respect, because your activity will become more meaningful and beneficial. Since the bodhicitta is powerful and beneficial, you own it, you possess it now, so then you are worthy of universal respect. You're worthy of, the God, by the humans and gods, very valuable. So because only you possess, now you have the bodhicitta, that's why. Okay. And now the next, the 10th stanza is, it says, bodhicitta is just like the supreme gold-making elixir, for it transforms this impure body we have taken into the priceless jewel of the Buddha's body. Therefore, very firmly hold this, awaken in mind. Means very firmly hold this, awaken in mind. Now here, Shantideva also explains bodhicitta, the awaken in mind, through 5 different examples, okay? So that we can understand it more easily. The first knowledge comes from alchemy, right? Which is being able to turn regular sort of metals into gold. Serinjir, in Tibetan, Serinjir means like, alchemy, be able to turn sort of regular metals into gold, very valuable at that point. So similarly, we are ordinary beings right now, very selfish, and all this filled with negative emotions. That's why ordinary beings right now, very impure, right? So we need to transform ourselves into bodhisattvas, first we have to generate bodhicitta, and we need to transform this impure body, speech, and mind into, first we need to bodhisattva, then bodhisattvas become the Buddhas, right? Because bodhicitta can change anything. Any ordinary thought or negative emotions into great compassion and wisdom. So bodhicitta's function is to transform something bad into something great. I mean, that's why it's valuable, it's beneficial. It means bodhicitta can transform our impure body and mind that we have taken for many, many lifetimes into the priceless, precious body and mind of Buddhas. And this is done by firmly accepting and developing the awakening mind, the bodhicitta. That's the only way. Therefore, Shantideva advises us firmly to hold this awakening mind and commit ourselves to taking it very seriously. Very seriously. My teachers always say, if you practice this and that, so many different things, based on bodhicitta, great. But based on selfish mind, just forget it. All those practice that you have done. Only focus on only bodhicitta. That's what they say. Make sure that you generate bodhicitta and take it very seriously. If you really want to follow the Mahāyāna path and Mahāyāna teaching, you want to put into your daily life, you have to take it very seriously. So we have to transform our emotional, these things, reactions, and negative thought into bodhicitta. Okay? It means we have to use whatever arises in our lives to wake up. That's why we say bodhicitta is an awakening mind. The bodhicitta is a practice that changes how we experience life itself. Longchenpa said that an awakened mind is the basis of all experiences in our lives. Bodhicitta is an experience of awakening, so we can do this. It is not sort of beyond our capacity. As an ordinary person, very negative person, will be able to generate bodhicitta. It's easy, but it's not easy. But it's possible. It's not beyond our capacity. And I'm not talking here about ultimate bodhicitta, but I'm talking about just the relative bodhicitta, a kind mind. The basic capacity for bodhicitta, or the seed of bodhicitta, is naturally in all of us. That's why we're not beyond, it's not beyond our capacity, because we have this basic what do you call it, capacity, and we have this seed, in our mind. That is the fundamental reality of all of us, no matter who you are. But I don't think the question is whether we are a kind person, a compassionate person or not. I think the question is whether we choose to acknowledge that bodhicitta is part of us and make it real in our day-to-day life. Whatever we do, say, and think in our daily life is either the cause of happiness or suffering. But within a weakened mind, we will be able to make this life meaningful and be able to help others. Certainly, we can. What the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and great masters appreciate the most is our commitment to generate bodhicitta and the accumulation of positive thoughts. That's all they care. If we create the causes for the happiness of others through the practice of a kind mind, a bodhicitta, then the result of that, we can be sure it will bring back even more happiness for ourselves. Therefore, bodhicitta is everything. So the practice of Mahāyāna Buddhism is not for our own happiness, right? It is the happiness of all beings and freeing them from samsara, from suffering. That is the main sort of goal and motivation. If you are Mahāyānist, a Mahāyāna follower, the goal of your practice is not for it is not for your own happiness. It's for others' happiness. But the result of it is you know, you are going to achieve enlightenment first, even though that's not your motivation. But it's just, you can see it's clearly examples of like Buddha. You know, Buddha reached the enlightenment, you know, his motivation was not that, but it's just the result of it, you know, his motivation, it just brings back. That's why, like, it's difficult as an ordinary person ignore oneself. Whatever I practice, whatever is for others, it's kind of difficult. What about myself, right? We say all sentient beings have happiness. Some people ask me, like, what about myself? If I think about my meditation just only for others, happiness for others, then what about myself? You don't understand this bodhicitta. You will get the result first. I mean, take a look at Buddha. We are still in samsara, an ordinary being. Buddha became enlightened, even though that wasn't his motivation. So take a look at that. Now I'm going to move on to the next, the 11th stanza. It says, through immeasurable intellect, those who are the only guide of beings having perfectly and fully examined bodhicitta, saw it to be precious. Therefore, those who wish to be free from states of mundane existence should hold precise bodhicitta firmly and excellently. Okay. Ndovite penchipa tsammilu lakpara yons takna rinchiwi ndove nidan darwar ndopa nams rinchen yanchip semlak tambar zonzi. Okay. So in this second knowledge, bodhicitta is compared to a precious jewel. That's the example. You know, in the old days, people went to the oceans to find a place where there were a lot of precious jewels, right? But those people who go to the oceans for the jewels always rely on a captain, right? And they depend on a guide who had a great experience and who knew how to find this precious jewel in the ocean. So similarly, the bodhicitta first founded the most precious jewel, that is the bodhicitta. And after discovering the precious jewel of bodhicitta, then the Buddha taught the bodhicitta to us, right? Based on his great experience. Because among all the great teachings, bodhicitta is supremely beneficial and more precious than any other teachings. Enlightenment, Buddhahood, is attained through bodhicitta. So in the same way, as a merchant finds jewels and carefully take care of them and sells them to others, right? For this reason, Buddha has taught bodhicitta to those who wish to be free from all the suffering of samsara. Therefore, we should keep this precious bodhicitta in our own minds tightly, it says, right? Constantly with mindfulness, and we should not let it decrease. So, should hold precise bodhicitta firmly and excellently. When we have this awakening mind, bodhicitta, we should hold it in our hearts for as long as we can. And recite in our head, bodhicitta, 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 all the time, day and night. Remember last time we talked about when you go to sleep, you know, if you're the first, if you think about bodhicitta and you have that kind of motivation, and then you fall asleep all night through, you know, like maybe 7 hour, 8 hour, 9 hour, whatever, you sleep. It's virtuous. Even though you're not meditating, you're not reciting anything, you're just sleeping. But because of your motivation, your motivation was bodhicitta. So then all night, many hours you sleep is become a virtuous, positive. If your motivation not bodhicitta, and you just think about, you know, before you go to sleep, and you just think about day, you know, your work, and somebody told me this, and this is rude and negative and all of that. You're just thinking, and then you sleep. Usually, once you think about that, it's hard to sleep, but sometimes you sleep right that way. Then all night, 8 hour, 10 hour, whatever you sleep, non-virtuous, negative thought. You see how important bodhicitta is. So we heard Shantideva says you should hold the bodhicitta in your heart as long as you can. So our bodhicitta may not yet be spontaneous, right? And always not really stable. Sometimes we think about bodhicitta, then we forget, and not spontaneous, not as like bodhisattvas, right? And we're not sort of, our mind is not stable, always changing. That's totally fine, as long as we sort of make a commitment and try to remember it constantly. Then slowly, we have to develop, we have to develop it. In order to do that, you really, I think that's why Shantideva was the main point here. Like the first chapter is all about the benefits of bodhicitta. So we really need to understand the benefit of bodhicitta and understand the lack of bodhicitta. Then once you understand the benefit of bodhicitta, you just really keep it very precious and, valuable things in your life. And if we wish to free ourselves and others from the suffering of samsara, then we should take great care, and we should, never let our bodhicitta sort of decrease, right? Always try to increase more and more. Because we can do that. We have that capacity. Because especially like when you think about bodhicitta and you practice bodhicitta, and then you have some kind of good experience, and the result, it brings happiness. It brings happiness right away. Then it's really like you are very excited, right? I want more of this. It's also based on your selfish mind, because you see, it brings me happiness. I'm so happy because of this. That's based on selfish, but that's fine. That kind of selfish, Buddha said, needed. We needed that kind of selfish mind. I want to increase bodhicitta. I can see the benefit of bodhicitta. So eventually we have to eliminate that selfish mind. But as an ordinary person, we need to develop that kind of selfish mind too. So then it helps us to increase our bodhicitta and develop. Okay, that's all. I'm going to stop here. 11th stanza. We finished 11th stanza. Now, the meditation, as you know, first, you have to understand how to meditate and the benefit of your meditation, such as, in this case, bodhicitta. When you meditate bodhicitta, usually there are two types of meditation, right? Resting and analytical. In Buddhism, there are two types. you can do both of this meditation, like when you meditate on bodhicitta, but most of the time, it is analytical meditation. Analysis means seeing for ourselves what something is and how it relates to our lives. Then you think in, investigate, right? So it involves thinking. That's what we call analytical meditation. But this is not intellectual thinking, okay? Using sort of analysis or examination when meditating doesn't mean intellectually thinking about the topic, it means you have to feel it. You just you cannot just think, or say like for example, oh, I should generate bodhicitta, I should love everyone. Not like that. That is just intellectual thinking, or saying, oh, bodhicitta is important, I should generate bodhicitta. I should help others. That's just intellectual, not like that. It has to be sort of, when you practice bodhicitta and analytical meditation, right? That's what the bodhicitta. So you have to, it has to be like, what do you call, tangible, it's you have to feel something. So you need to find a good method and a good topic for your analytical meditation. Because if you find there are so many ways you can meditate on bodhicitta, right? But not necessarily all of them works for you. So if you find a good method for your meditation, might touch you in a deep way and brings you good experience. If you find a good one, a good method, instruction. So here, like, if you wish to guide yourself through these topics, the way of bodhisattva, you can read one of the stanzas from the first chapter that explains the benefit of bodhicitta. You can read the stanza and then sort of contemplate on it. And then also, like, you can bring your life into sort of that meditation, contemplation, and using your daily sort of experience as examples, and put others also in your place, and try to exchange the situation when you do the analytical bodhicitta meditation, okay? Analytical meditation, bodhicitta, for bodhicitta is important. Analytical meditation trains the mind to use sort of reasoning in order to reduce and eliminate the mental afflictions, such as in this case, when you meditate on bodhicitta, you are trying to reduce the selfishness. Meditate through, bodhicitta. So when you have a deep sort of feeling or strong experience of bodhicitta through the analytical meditation, then what you need to do is you have to bring that into your daily life so that it becomes part of your life. That's how we develop it. Otherwise, like you sit down, or this is meditation time, and then you're thinking, they're exchanging your situation to others, and others, bring them into your meditation and put them in your place, and then think about, great. But then you're not, when you have that great experience, and then you don't bring that into your daily life, then it's difficult to, become a part of your life, bodhicitta, that is very important, because we need bodhicitta in our daily life, right? When we act with others, we need bodhicitta at that time. Not necessarily when you meditate. When you meditate, everything is okay. Everything's fine. But then in your daily life, there are lots of, distractions, and makes you really not stable. At that point, you need bodhicitta. So then you have to bring that into that situation, so it becomes part of your life. Then it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter what outside the circumstance. It doesn't bother you at all if you be able to do this. People think only, focus on outside, or this wrong, that wrong, this person that terrible, that good, this. It's not really out there, the way how we think, how our mind works. But as long as you have a bodhicitta mind, then you used to think this person is terrible. Now you see as him or her is beautiful, and you become your friend, and that's how you change your actions. So that's why mind, the way you think and see, is so important. So now, according to Papatur Rinpoche, there are lots of instructions, for bodhicitta practice. I will teach you this next teaching, okay, next time. But in order, according to Papatur Rinpoche, we need to practice bodhicitta based on the realization that all sentient beings have an equal right to be happy and to overcome suffering. So we need to think all other beings, includes animals, and like our own life. In this way, we will understand all sentient beings, all are equal. Oh, this person deserves happiness, this person deserves suffering. Not like that, So we need to think all these different beings, and then we have to meditate on them. And as you are meditating on these beings, taking your own life as an example for these beings, right? Then, because we love ourselves, we don't want suffering, we want happiness. So if you bring that as an example, and for others, you bring that to others, you kind of exchanging, right? You're exchanging your situation. So you do that also by thinking, analytical meditation, right? So you have to think about all this situation. The world is now looks like filled with negative, unhappiness, sufferings everywhere, the natural disasters, the wars, everybody, it's just suffering. So you have to think all of that. And if I am there, I am this, I am that, what should I do? Think all that. You need to sort of changeable sort of mind, and you have to feel it. And then you sit with this thought until you sort of deeply experience this equalness, all sentient beings, in your mind. I mean, also according to Buddhism, they have been our parents and relatives and all that and this kind of things. But it's easy to understand. I want happiness. These people want happiness. This animal want. So you can think all that. It's just not intellectually, but just you have to really go deeper and put yourself in, think about your situation, then bring others, put into your place, your shoes, and then you can feel, and then when the more you feel the suffering of samsara, you want to do something. You can't sit just ignore. You can't, bodhisattvas can't ignore. I want it, no matter what this, I want to do something. But we're not there yet. So we have to prepare these things, in our mind. That's why we call it aspiration bodhicitta. So we have to develop that in tangible way. And then when we are ready, then we act. That is the action bodhicitta through practice 6 pāramitās, but we are not there yet. So first we have to develop this aspiration bodhicitta in our mind. Okay, so when you see this beautiful place, you wish to go there, and then you think like, how can I get there? You have to all this thing, prepare for money and transportation, everything you have to prepare in your mind. Like you have to prepare. That's exactly same here. Aspiration, but you just think and prepare your mind to act. So that's all we have to do, okay? So for a few minutes, please, of course, take a moment first to your motivation, correct your motivation, and then there are so many, of course, you all know already how to practice bodhicitta. So no matter what, you don't have to necessarily follow what I'm saying here, to give you the instructions. But as I said, like whatever the instruction, the method works for you, just use that and then practice bodhicitta for few minutes, let's say 5 minutes, please.